Michael Moore once called Nardwaur a national treasure. So of course,
Nardwaur, 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 Nardwaur.
Before we get into it, this is the part of this video where I say, if you liked this video, please save it and share it so it will reach like-minded nostalgic nerds and give me the will to keep putting hours of research and time into these videos. Thank you. John Ruskin was born on July 5th, 1968 in Vancouver, British Columbia. His dad was an engineer and his mom, Olga, was a journalist in the 1950s. She went on to become a high school history teacher and was involved in cable access TV in the 1970s and 1980s. She made many documentaries about local history.
This is Our Pioneers and Neighbours. I'm Olga Ruskin. We're going on a walking tour of historic North Lonsdale today with North Shore author Roy Pallant.
She didn't get paid to do it. No, she did it because she loved it. And I think it's fair to say she set forth a path that John most certainly followed. You might say that John found his voice early on when he won a public speaking competition in elementary school for a speech he made about his cat. At Hillside Secondary School, John joined the student council, and while he was on the council, he started booking bands for school events and even had his very first music interview with Art Bergman of Poison.
Now the question is, will this dance be a success? Obviously these people think so. But the question is, will it work on the economic part? And that is something that only time will tell.
In 1986, John headed off to UBC, which also happens to be where he took on the persona of Nardwaur, the human serviette. And if you're wondering where he got that name from, here's what I have found. 2008, he told Pharrell Williams that Nardwaur is like a dumb, stupid name like Sting. And human is from the band The Cramps, their song Human Fly. And in the United States of America, you don't have serviettes, you have napkins. So I'm Nardwaur, the human serviette. While working on his history degree, Nardwaur started volunteering at CITR-FM, the UBC radio station. Nardwaur's radio show started out as 1 minute long, and in typical Nardwaur fashion, he managed to get them to agree to 5 minutes, and then to 15, and then total world domination. Nardwaur graduated in 1990 and has been doing, well, basically everything he can ever since. His eccentric and assertive interview style has endeared and reviled him to musicians and celebrities across the globe in his interview series Nardwaur vs. Everyone. The list of people that Nardwaur has interviewed / accosted is long and includes artists like Billie Eilish, AFI, Slipknot, Iron Maiden, Neil Young, Snoop Dogg, who said after his first interview with Nardwaur that it was just the best experience. He's interviewed Wu-Tang Clan, Paramore, and so on and so forth. These interviews have been featured on Much Music's Going Coastal, Much On Demand. I miss old Much Music so much. And have even been printed in Chart magazine. Nardwaur is so good at documenting his work that he even has his very first interview with Art Bergman on his Tube channel. The Tube of the U.
If you look in the EP, if you look in the inside of the cover, it says, "Thanks to Hillside Secondary School."
So John did.
And so I bought the record, and then I bought more, and then I bought Poison EP, and then I circled Hillside Secondary School. I thought that was kind of neat.
When the Tube launched premium channels, they gave a bunch of funding to people like Pharrell Williams. Pharrell offered a channel to Nardwaur, and he initially refused because he wanted complete control over his work. Pharrell told him that he could do whatever he wanted with the channel, and Nardwaur now has over 2.6 million subscribers on the Tube, by the way. While doing research for this, I was trying to think about how I would describe Nardwaur to someone outside of Vancouver who maybe wasn't familiar with his work. And then I read his Mint Records artist profile and realized that Dave Watson, former Georgia Straight reporter, could do it for me. He once wrote that Nardwaur put me in mind of the first time I saw my younger brother drunk, annoying, and endearing at the same time. But Nardwaur wasn't drunk, just very intense. yet likable. And that Nardwaur's annoyingness, that thing that seems to irritate certain celebrities like Travis Barker, who once hung up on him, and Blur's David Roundtree, who apologized to Nardwaur in 2011 for his behavior during a 2003 interview.
Happy to take my hat. Are you happy? Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Well, what about your other bandmate? Do you like
Are you
taking all the
happy?
attention?
Are you?
I am very happy. I'm not that
Yeah,
happy until I get my hat back.
Is actually just his discontinuity. The fact that his brain just moves so fast. For those that move at his speed, magic happens. For those that don't, they end up marrying a Kardashian. Former Much Music VJ Jennifer Hollett said, "I find as I watch artist interviews with Nardwaur, it tells me so much about the artist that I end up either liking them more or liking them less." Truer words have never been spoken. Nardwaur is also very well known for showing up at conferences with politicians and completely throwing them off. Like showing up to a conference with Mikhail Gorbachev and prefacing his question with "keep on rocking in the free world" in Russian, or the infamous clip of him asking Prime Minister Jean Chrétien about protesters being pepper sprayed and eliciting this historical response.
For me, pepper, I put it on my plate. Next.
He would later go on to have a proper sit-down interview with Chrétien for Much Music. Former Much Music producer Steve Pratt said, "I kept trying to find as many ways as I could to get Nardwaur on the air. There were a lot of labels and PR companies that did not want him interviewing their musicians. He pulls out stuff that nobody knows about them, and he's doing things that are going to get unusual reactions. It is not an interview that generates canned responses, so it always felt like a gift when somebody said yes, and it always turned into something wonderful."
How did this 7-inch start it all?
This song, the girl of my best friend, was probably the first song I learned the words to.
Nardwaur doesn't just take on the world via interview. He's also the lead singer of the Evaporators and has his own record label, Nardwaur Records, which has put out albums by the Evaporators, even a split EP with Andrew WK, Nardwaur himself, and the Smugglers. He has a podcast through CITR and is still actively interviewing musicians in the Overstock room of Neptune Records, where you can also procure Nardwaur merch if you are so inclined. The fact that Nardwaur has been working as a journalist, musician, and everything else for as long as I have been alive is impressive. But what makes it extra impressive is that he's had some pretty serious health scares over the past few years. In 1999, he suffered from seizures and temporary paralysis due to a cerebral hemorrhage, and in 2015, he suffered a stroke and was released from the hospital in just 6 days, because even a stroke can't keep Nardwaur down. Shortly after, he underwent surgery to fix the issue that caused the stroke, and he has continued rocking in the free world ever since. In addition to his already long list of accomplishments, Nardwaur was inducted to the BC Hall of Fame in 2019 and was included in the BC Walk of Fame on Granville Street. He is not yet a member of the Order of Canada, though, so I will add him to my growing list of people we need to nominate. And I say we as in all of us, if any of you ever get to see this video. In 2014, I had just started a new job, and my first week was weird. I wasn't sure if that job was the right place for me, but one day I was walking up East Hastings during my lunch break when I saw a familiar plaid golf cap heading towards me. It was Nardwaur in his golf cap. Did I say anything? No. But did his sudden appearance assure me that I was, in fact, right where I was supposed to be at that time? It sure did. If you also find comfort in Nardwaur nostalgia like I do, his website is a full archive of both video interviews and transcribed interviews, chock full of photos and memorabilia. Why should people care about Nardwaur? One of Nardwaur's longtime friends, Leora Kornfeld, mentioned that part of Nardwaur's ethos, if you will, is that he does things scared. If you're not scared, you're doing something wrong. So next time you're unsure or nervous about going into a new situation or taking on a new project, remember that the biggest accomplishments can result from doing it scared. Thanks so much, everyone, and until next time, doot doodaloot doot.